Chapter 12 The Struggle Continues 1897 to 1898. Governor-General Primo de Rivera. He was the Spanish Governor-General of the Philippines from 1880 to 1883. In 1897, he again became the Spanish Governor-General of the Philippines. So Governor-General Primo de Rivera, or Miguel Primo de Rivera y Urbaneja Marquez de Estella, he was born on January 8, 1870 at Cadiz, Spain, and died on March 16, 1930 in Paris, France. He was a general and statesman. He is also a dictator of Spain from September 1923 to January 1930. General Primo de Rivera was born into a military family. He graduated from the General Military Academy in Toledo in 1888 and served as an officer in Morocco, Cuba, and the Philippines. In 1915, he was named Military Governor of Cadiz and 4 years later, Captain General of Valencia. General Primo de Rivera has so many achievements, and the most popular of his achievements was the successful termination of the Moroccan War. General Governor Primo de Rivera was a good ruler. He always had good intentions towards our country. He wanted a better future for the Philippines, but unfortunately, the Spaniards and the Filipinos had a misunderstanding. Many Spaniards blamed the Filipinos for violating the Truce of Biak na Bato. Biak na Bato was the second revolutionary republican government led by Emilio Aguinaldo during the Philippine Revolution, replacing a government which also called itself the Republic of the Philippines. Meanwhile, in Spain, they had an election and the General Basilio Agustin was sent as Governor-General to succeed Primo de Rivera. Governor Primo de Rivera was performing well in the Philippines. It was unfortunate for him because Governor Primo de Rivera had always thought how he could make the Filipino rebels return to Spain as faithful subjects just like before the revolution. Governor Primo de Rivera knew the Philippines. Governor Primo de Rivera knew the Philippines very well because he had served previously as governor of the country from 1880 to 1883. So he wanted to continue as a governor so that he could make plans for the future. But sad to say, he was relieved and General Basilio Agustin was elected as the new governor. His success in the battlefield of Cavite over Aguinaldo's forces could have ended the revolution. So in 1897, Governor Primo de Rivera became the Spanish Governor-General of the Philippines again because the Governor-General Agustin had never been to the Philippines and he doesn't know anything, especially the problems confronting the country. So General Governor Primo de Rivera turned over the reins of the government to him. Instead, a truce was agreed upon, apparently an attempt on both sides to recover from their loss and resume fighting later. His success in the battlefields of Cavite and Aguinaldo's forces could have ended the revolution. Instead, a truce was agreed upon, apparently an attempt on both sides to recover from their love and resumes fighting later. So, Philippine Revolution was a revolution and subsequent conflict fought between the people and insurgents of the Philippines and the Spanish colonial authorities of the Spanish fact indies under the Spanish Empire. General Emilio Aguinaldo. So General Emilio Aguinaldo or Emilio Aguinaldo y Fami was a Filipino revolutionary, statesman, and military leader who is officially recognized as the first and the youngest president of the Philippines and the first president of a constitutional republic in Asia. So General Emilio Aguinaldo, as the recognized leader of the Filipinos in exile in Hong Kong and at home, negotiated the situation with the Americans to delay confrontation with an obviously more powerful country. But the United States misled Aguinaldo to believe that the Americans came as an ally of the Filipinos in their fight to end Spanish rule in the country. The relief of Primo de Rivera. Governor General Primo de Rivera's success in stopping the bloodshed was highly praised in Spain, and because of that, the Queen of Spain, who was reigning for her son, rewarded General Primo de Rivera with the Grand Cross of San Fernando and a pension of about 10,000 pesos. 10,000 pesos is already very big in their time. So, let's proceed to the Spanish-American War. Spanish-American War. The relationship between Spain and the United States was becoming sour. So on April 21, 1898, the United States declared war against Spain. The causes of the conflict were many, but the immediate ones were America's support of Cuba's ongoing struggle against Spanish rule and the mysterious explosion of the USS Marine in Havana Harbor. It would be the first overseas war fought by the United States involving campaigns in both Cuba and the Philippine Islands. So some influential Americans like Theodore Roosevelt wanted war with Spain so that the American Navy could expand. Theodore Roosevelt Jr., often referred to as Teddy or his initials DR, was an American statesman, conservationist, naturalist, historian, and writer who served as the 26th President of the United States from 1901 to 1909. Roosevelt worked for the appointment of Commodore George Dewey as commander of the American Asiatic Squadron, just to carry out his plan because he conceived the idea of taking Manila in case war with Spain would be declared Theodore Roosevelt wanted war with Spain so that the American Navy could expand. And in 1897, he became Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Spain, on the other hand, was preoccupied with two revolutions, one in Cuba and other in the Philippines. Cuba's struggle for independence from Spain, newspaper in the U.S. printed sensationalized accounts of Spanish atrocities, fueling humanitarian concerns. The mysterious destruction of the U.S. battleship Maine in Havana's harbor on February 15, 1898 led to a declaration of war against Spain 2 months later. So these conflicts were very expensive for Spain and were draining its resources. When USS Maine exploded at Havana Harbor in Cuba, they were blamed for the mishap, and it added fuel to the flame. More than 200 American sailors and officers were dead in that incident, and the Americans were outraged of the incident and demanded war to be declared on Spain.